The drama surrounding the Indiana Fever's gut-wrenching loss to the Los Angeles Sparks wasn't about who played better or who hit more shots, it was about what was taken from them. The final score may have shown a defeat, but the real battle was fought in plain sight by a force far more frustrating than any opposing team: the referees. And Stephanie White, the normally composed and calculated head coach of the Fever, had finally had enough. After watching her team fight through injuries, absences, and unfair whistles, she didn't need a long-winded rant. She didn't call for a rulebook. She just gave the world 5 devastating words: "We didn't get the calls." And with those 5 words, she said what every Fever fan was thinking. Coming off the high of one of the most dominant stretches in franchise history, the Indiana Fever were rolling. They had crushed the Dallas Wings. They had beaten the Minnesota Lynx to claim their first-ever Commissioner's Cup title. They had humiliated Aya Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces in a 27-point dismantling that shook the WNBA to its core. This was a team on fire, surging, cohesive, full of swagger, even with their star player Caitlin Clark out due to a groin injury. So when they walked into the Crypto.com arena to face the Los Angeles Sparks, arguably the worst team in the league, nobody thought twice. This was supposed to be a formality. Even without Clark, ESPN gave the Fever a 73% chance to win. Vegas had them as 6-point favorites. The logic was simple. The Fever were battle-tested and deep. The Sparks were injury-ridden, struggling, desperate. What could possibly go wrong? The answer: everything, thanks to the referees. The Fever were already operating on a skeleton crew. Clark's absence loomed large, not just because of her scoring, but because of how she runs the offense, controls tempo, and elevates everyone around her. Then came the blow that Damiris Dantas would be unavailable, representing her country overseas. To make matters worse, Dana Bonner abruptly left the team entirely. That's 3 significant players gone. And yet, even with their bench gutted and rotation scrambled, the Fever came out swinging. Aaliyah Boston, once again, was a force of nature in the paint. Kelsey Mitchell, the franchise cornerstone, lit up from the perimeter. Natasha Howard brought her veteran poise and fire. They were bruised but not broken. And they were winning the game that was supposed to be theirs. Until the whistles started. From the very first quarter, it was clear something was off. The physicality allowed on one end of the court mysteriously disappeared when the Fever had the ball. Sophie Cunningham got grabbed around the neck in full view of the official. No foul. Just a jump ball. 2 plays later, she was thrown to the ground. Still nothing. Then Aaliyah Boston, who had been a model of composure all season, started picking up fouls for simply contesting shots, for having her hands up, for standing her ground. Phantom foul after phantom foul. The best center in the league was being systematically taken out of the game, not by the Sparks, but by the officials. And yet the Fever kept fighting. They didn't collapse. They leaned on their stars. Boston finished with 23 points and 12 rebounds. She was dominant, efficient, and impactful. 9 of 17 from the field. 5 of 7 from the line. She battled double teams, contact, and terrible calls, and still nearly dragged her team to victory. Mitchell, in her 251st game for the franchise, second only to the legendary Tamika Catchings, chipped in 19 points and 3 three-pointers. Her leadership was evident in every possession. Her shot-making was clutch. And then there was Howard, who lit up the stat sheet with 21 points and 9 rebounds on a near-perfect 8 of 11 shooting night. These 3 women carried the Fever with everything they had. They executed. They hustled. They rose to the moment. But the refs kept yanking it away. Michaela Timpson picked up back-to-back fouls on plays where she didn't even touch her opponent. The Fever bench could hardly believe it. The broadcasters didn't know what to say. On one play, Kelsey Plum elbowed Lexi Hull, then stepped over her with open disrespect. Again, no foul. It was right in front of the ref. Nothing. Then, away from the ball, another call. Again, putting the Sparks on the line for no discernible reason. It was as if every official had decided this game would not be won by effort or talent, but by whatever narrative they wanted to push. Stephanie White watched all of it unfold. Her team was being robbed in real time. And finally, she stepped in front of the media and delivered the truth. Not in anger. Not with theatrics. Just 5 calm, searing words. We didn't get the calls. That wasn't just a coach venting. That was a woman who had watched her team go through hell, miss their star, miss their depth, miss their rhythm, and still find a way to fight. Only to have the game ripped away by officiating that lacked consistency, logic, or accountability. Those 5 words encapsulated the pain, the injustice, and the quiet rage of every Fever fan who watched what should have been a victory get turned into a lesson in frustration. This game wasn't about execution. It wasn't about who wanted it more. The Fever outplayed the Sparks. They won every hustle stat, controlled the paint, and executed in crunch time. But no team, no matter how well coached or how determined, can beat the opponent and the officials at the same time. Not in today's WNBA. Not when the whistles only seem to blow one way. And it wasn't just Boston or Mitchell or Howard who were victimized by the officiating. The entire identity of this team, the fight, the unity, the grit, was spit on by an officiating crew that made the game about themselves. That fourth quarter was supposed to be a comeback story. Instead, it turned into a slow-motion theft. The most infuriating part? The Fever still nearly won. Despite every bad call, every phantom foul, every missed whistle, they were right there. That's not weakness. That's resilience. That's character. That's the sign of a team that's ready to become a contender, no matter what gets thrown in their way. And Caitlin Clark? She didn't play, but she was there. Watching. Reacting. Learning. Her return is near, and it's going to change everything. Because this team, this battle-tested, referee-tormented, short-handed squad, isn't going to forget what happened. They're going to remember every whistle that stole a win. Every non-call that sent their stars to the bench. Every time the officials made themselves the main characters in a game that should have belonged to the players. When Clark comes back, she'll be returning to a team that's angry. That's hungry. That's grown stronger through adversity. Picture the lineup. Clark orchestrating the offense, Boston owning the paint, Mitchell stretching the floor, Howard bringing the muscle, and Hall bringing the defensive energy. That's a championship unit waiting to explode. And don't be fooled by the Sparks' victory. This was no triumph for Los Angeles. This was a wake-up call for the rest of the WNBA. Because when the Fever get healthy, they're going to remember who kicked them when they were down. They're going to remember who got the calls and who didn't. They're going to remember what it felt like to watch a win slip away not because of effort or execution, but because of injustice. This game was supposed to be another notch in the Fever's win column. Instead, it became something more powerful, a galvanizing moment. A rallying cry. A reminder that even in loss, greatness reveals itself. Boston's dominance, Mitchell's leadership, Howard's toughness, none of it will be forgotten. Least of all by Stephanie White, who made sure to say out loud what every fan knew in their heart: we didn't get the calls. But they will next time. Because this team is too good, too determined, and too united to be held down forever. So what did you think? Did the refs hand the Sparks that win? Were the calls really as bad as they looked? And how do you think the Fever will bounce back once Caitlin Clark returns? Let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss another breakdown. The Fever Revenge Tour is coming, and the league better be ready.